there's this wall against getting to the real meat of what the government has collected and known over the years.
So when we talk about UFO reporting, like how many reports have you guys gotten over the years?
We are pushing 200,000 reports.
To me, that sounds like a huge amount.
It's a lot, but I still think it's the tip of the iceberg. So you can take that number and multiply it, and then we estimate that probably 5% of people who see something take the time and trouble to report it.
I have your website. Can you see this? Is that showing up to you?
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at some of these now. What really jumped out at me was how detailed some of them are, and that there's pictures and videos. And there's definitely, so I'm looking at this one. I'm going to mispronounce that, but I think it's Chelan, West Virginia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one just came in. I remember this one.
Like, okay, I don't know what that is.
It's an interesting one, and we highlighted this one because it's actually pretty rare that we get a video as dramatic as that. Um, it's, people are really not capturing these things on cameras very often in any meaningful way. I've probably seen maybe 20 videos that have really impressed me over the last couple of years. Um, this is one of them simply because of the color and the way. Now, that could be a drone hovering up there with a blue light, certainly, but it's I think it's the quality of the video that impressed us on that one. But if you keep scrolling through those highlighted reports, you'll find people who write stories, especially if you get into some of the older ones. There's a lot of people who send in reports from things that happened to them 20, 30 years ago. Now that one right there, if you bring that one back up a little bit and just show the picture.
This is one out of Lebanon, Tennessee. I couldn't find the state.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. And that's what jumped out at me was like the detail that people put into this. Like this has a drawing, this has a lengthy description.
Yeah, and that triangle that you're looking at there, that has been reported over and over and over again. But these triangles that are, anywhere from 25 feet on a side to hundreds of feet on a side with white lights in each corner and sometimes a red light in the center have been reported hundreds of times. And these things basically float. They can hover silently over someone's house. They can accelerate instantaneously. I mean, they can go from a complete stop to something like Mach 5 without any period of acceleration whatsoever. So they're doing things that we simply don't have the technology to do. And they're reported by, credible people. The people who report to us generally are extremely sincere and are simply, flabbergasted by what they've seen. And they just want to find a place to get it off their chest and put it on the record because sometimes it's a life-changing event for people to see things like this.
So if we're having those so many people who are seeing these things and reporting them, why do you think there's still so much skepticism out there, right? Like if it's something that seems to be happening every day, why isn't it treated like something that seems to be happening every day?
It's because, when the UFO phenomenon really started back in the 40s, 1947, with Roswell, when people really started seeing vast amounts of flying saucers and things, the government, started setting up agencies to go and investigate it. There was Project Sign, there was Project Grudge, and then there was Project Blue Book. And the prime directive of these agencies pretty soon became to just debunk everything and make it sound like people were crazy. So the government has had a concerted effort to kind of promote that narrative that, if you've seen a UFO, you might be mentally suspect or you probably don't know what you're looking at. And that really stuck. Society really took that in and bought that up to the present day. Now, there's a lot that's going on right now that we can talk about where that's really changing. Some of the congressional hearings and some of the revelations from some of the fighter pilots and David Grush and things like that. But it's still that message of they don't exist, they can't possibly exist. There's no way they could get here because nobody can go faster than the speed of light. All these arguments about why they can't exist are still kind of embedded in the consciousness of the general public.
Of those 200,000 some odd that we talked about, though, but
Mm-hmm.
how many of them would you say, okay, this is a UFO versus like this is just something that somebody saw that they can't explain?
We go through a process where we actually look at every report and we flag the ones that we think are the like, holy crap reports. Like you say, certainly more than 50% are, misidentifications of stars or satellites or airplanes or bugs flying past security cameras, all these different kinds of things that we get all the time. Um, so I think probably from the reports that we get, I would estimate maybe 20% are interesting, real, events that are anomalous and we can't find in, a simple explanation for.
If my math is correct off the top of my head, that's about 40,000 total.
Some of the reports we really like to get we get a lot of reports from pilots. And pilots are, know what they're looking at the sky. They're up there all the time, and when they see something strange, um, you can kind of take their word for it. If you go to our website, you can actually look at all the all the reports are cataloged by the ones that we think are the best. You can just scan through those. You can scan through the ones that are from pilots, or you can go kind of look into the reports from your area.
When you look at the reports that come in, would you say
Mhm.
is there a pattern to them? Like they generally kind of fit into these categories. Like this happens, it looks like this, it moves like this, etc.
There's definitely patterns and kind of groups of similar sightings. One of them is the triangles that we talked about earlier. You see these same triangles over and over and over again doing the same kind of things. Another one that's extremely common is orbs. Orbs or balls of light that basically, again, do these incredible maneuvers in the sky that basically go through walls, can float down your hallway in your house. There's the classic flying saucer, but we're seeing less of those recently. We saw a lot more of those in the past. And then there's just things that are just all over the map, all kinds of weird shapes and sizes and descriptions of craft. So there's really an incredible variety of things that are going on.